Hello, and welcome back to Alice Talks Football, and welcome back to another live Manchester United news, transfer news, and update show. Manchester United have agreed to sign a player from Colombia. I mean, we missed out on Moises Caicedo, and we don't want to miss out on the next kind of Moises Caicedo. Manchester United also looking at another player over in Africa, some of the best young midfielders, players that Barcelona really want and would like to Barcelona would like to sign. Manchester United favourites to sign him, and some reports saying that deal is almost done, some reports saying it's not almost done, but Manchester United pretty much signing two young midfielders here. And I think this is pretty big for Manchester United because I feel like these are the kind of deals we've missed out on in the past, and I think it's very good that we're doing those kind of deals now. So we're going to talk about these players, who these players are, when they would come in, what they would bring, what's the expectation for them, and what it means for their future, and what it means for the future of Manchester United. You know, Wharton, Baleba, Elliot Anderson. We're going to go big on some midfielders this summer, but we're also going to bring in some future top midfielders to finally improve the midfield, which is something that we should have done a while ago. There's updates on Maino's future in Barcelona now wanting Maino. We've got updates on Elliot Anderson, Baleba, and Adam Wharton. So there's a lot to be discussed in regards to Manchester United and their midfield. So big up everybody tuning in. I do apologise that I'm late to today's live stream. I thought I scheduled it at 11:55 and I scheduled it at 11:45. And then I went on my phone and I was like, oh, I was meant to be live 8 minutes ago. I should probably go live now. So I did schedule it at the wrong time. So I do apologise for that. But let's get into the news. Let's get into the stories. I hope you guys are all doing well. And yeah. So, starting with this report here. So this was the original report. Now, this came out yesterday, but obviously not super familiar with the source. But I was like, oh, this is, when you see this report and you're like, well, they wouldn't lie about this because 99% of people haven't heard of this player. So it's like, this is such a rogue report that 99% of people haven't heard of this player. So it's like, I feel like this is true, but, let me wait until the morning, see if we get the Athletic or Ben Jacobs or Romano or Ornstein say anything. And obviously it's now been confirmed by Ben Jacobs and the Athletic this morning that United have agreed to sign this player. So it was interesting news. It originally came out last night, and it was said that Manchester United have reached an agreement in principle to sign defensive midfielder Christian Orozco. I'm not sure if that's how you say it. Orozco from Rojo FC. He will sign when he turns 18. This reminds me quite a bit of the Diego Leon situation, where we signed Diego Leon, and then about 6-7 months later, he joined us once he hit his 18th birthday. And I really like that Manchester United are doing deals like this. I think this is something we should have done a while ago. We missed out on Moises Caicedo all those years ago, which was, for me, an absolutely huge miss. So it's good to see that United are trying to do that business now. We've seen that Chelsea are trying to do it. And bring in the best sort of young talents for the future. And also, I think signing them early, it gives him like 8-9 months to learn a bit of English before he comes over to England, and that might make it easier for him and the transition easier for him as well. And it's just good to see that United are busy, because all the other top clubs have been doing this for a while, and I feel like we've avoided the South American market for so long. So it's good to see that United are finally going and taking advantage of the South American market. Alex said, I hope some of our current youth can get a look. Would save considerable funds if a few can become regulars in the senior side. Yeah, I agree. He also mentioned we missed quite a few top targets. Ralf Rangnick recommended us Julian Alvarez. He recommended us Enzo Fernandez, who I'm not a big fan of, but, we would have got them for very, very cheap prices. Ralf Rangnick recommended us some very good players at River Plate in South America and in Europe, and United missed out on Julian Alvarez, and United missed out on Moises Caicedo, and United missed out on a lot of players because they didn't want to drop 5-6 million or spend a bit of money in the January window. So to see Manchester United and INEOS regime now looking at some of the best youngsters is good to see, because look, a lot of these youngsters won't make it at United. Some of these players might not even play for Manchester United, but you've got the chance of finding a Julian Alvarez or finding Moises Caicedo if you do this, finding someone that is generational. You look at Chelsea, they've brought in a lot of young players. Not all of them will be a success, but players like Santos already looking like he could have a big impact at Chelsea. Esteval already getting a lot of minutes. So, yeah, I think it's a smart approach from Manchester United. So I do want to get into the news around these players that we're obviously looking at and we're looking at signing. And I want to give you a little bit of context about the player, but he is the under-17s captain of Colombia. He's very, very highly rated in Colombia, sort of seen as the best youngster out in Colombia, a midfielder that can cover immense amount of ground. And I look at Sekou Kone, I look at Diego Leon, we've got Enzo Canabiak, we signed a really good centre-back from Southampton, and I like that. If you look at what John Murta did a few years back, he signed Garnacho, Marc Jurado, and Alvaro Fernandez. A couple of years ago, we signed Willy Camboire, Alvaro Fernandez, Garnacho, and Marc Jurado. Now, Marc Jurado went back to Spain. We didn't really make any money on him. Alvaro Fernandez is a 50, 60 million pound player that we stupidly made about 5 million profit on. Garnacho, we made 40 million profit on, whether you like it or not. We made money on him, you know. And Willy Camboire had a lot of injuries. Otherwise, would have been a good player. But a few years ago, we went and brought Willy Camboire, Garnacho, Alvaro, Marc Jurado into the club as these sort of unknown talents. And two of them, in Garnacho and Alvaro, are playing for Champions League clubs, two of the best teams in the world. And look, we should have got a lot more money for Alvaro, and I think we should have got a lot more money for Garnacho, and that was on us. But it shows you, like right now, we signed Diego Leon, Enzo Canabiak, Sekou Kone, this Harley guy from Southampton at centre-back that's meant to be really good. We've now signed this guy, Christian from Colombia. And, you know, two of those players might be 70, 80 million pound players. And, you know, and that's something that United, I think, have missed out on in the past. So, yeah. But is this trustworthy? Yes. So this is trustworthy. He said he plays for Rojo when he plays for Fortaleza. I mean, this is a trustworthy source because it's now been said by Ben Jacobs that United have agreed to deal to sign under-17 defensive midfielder Christian Orozco when he turns 18. But, yeah, I mean, look, I was sceptical when I first saw the report yesterday, but then you look at people like Ben Jacobs, and Ben Jacobs is, you know, a credible source of information, and he's saying, you know, United have agreed to deal to sign him. So, you know, I was a bit sceptical at first when I saw the news, but then Ben Jacobs said it, and then The Athletic have said this, and they said that Manchester United have agreed a deal to sign 17-year-old Colombian youth international Christian Orozco from Fortaleza FC. The defensive midfielder is expected to officially move to Old Trafford after July. So even though they've got his club wrong here, they say Rojo FC. It's now been confirmed by Ben Jacobs, and it's now been confirmed by The Athletic that we are signing him, and we know that The Athletic is very good, and we know that Ben Jacobs is a good, credible source. So I think that pretty much means we basically signed him. We've agreed a deal to sign him. Look, things can go wrong, but it's like 99.9% that we have signed this guy. Alvaro was a disaster decision. We were lucky enough to get him from Real Madrid's academy back then. I just can't believe we sold the guy for about 5 million quid. And it's the worst part about it is we didn't even have a fit left back. There was no Malacia. There was no Luke Shaw, and we still sold this guy for like 5 million quid. I just can't believe it. Ahmad Kobi Collier would feature. So what we're talking about here? Oh, I'm looking at the wrong chat. But yeah, I just can't believe we sold them. You know, Amas is doing very well at Sheffield Wednesday, which is good, which means we'll probably sell him for 2 million and he'll be worth 60 million in 2 years' time. But we seem to be investing better in the youth, which is good to see. But Alvaro is playing for Real Madrid and is unbelievable at Real Madrid. Benfica have made like 40 million profit on him in a year and a half. I mean, we sold him for 5 million. He went to the Championship and was their best young player. He won Young Player in the Championship, and we thought, we've got no left back. We could give this guy a chance, or we can play Lindelof at left back. Sorry. So we chose to play Amrabat and Lindelof at left back for a few months and sell Alvaro for 5 million to Benfica. I think it was like 4.8 million that we actually got. I mean, like his technical ability, everything. Look how good he's been for Real Madrid. It makes no sense whatsoever. Absolutely no sense. But yeah, anyway, so this is the first guy United have signed, Christian Orozco. Now, am I going to sit here and tell you that I've watched Christian Orozco? No. I'm a YouTuber. I watch a lot of football. I don't go and watch Colombia's under-17s. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I've watched every player under the sun and I knew all about this player and this is a fantastic, brilliant signing for Manchester United, because that would be lying. And I don't want to lie to you guys. But what I will say is I think that while I've not seen the player play, the fact that he's the under-17s captain, the fact that the research I've done indicates that he's a very good player, and the fact that Manchester United are going out and signing the next Moises Caicedo, the next Carlos Baleba type player rather than spending 100 million on him when he goes to Brighton in 2 years' time, I think that's smart business from Manchester United. And I saw this. It's an exciting time to be a United fan. It feels like we're finally doing the groundwork early. We're not watching players like Belieber after they've moved to Europe anymore. We're tracking them before they even make the jump. And Paddy is right. We are now looking to sign, the next Belieber, the next Moises Caicedo. Because right now, we let Brighton do it, or another club do it. There you go, there's 100 million. We want your midfielder. We're going, you know what? We don't want to be spending 100 million on this and that. Let's see if we could produce some of our own. Now, I'd like to see Seko Kone get some minutes, be able to feature. But we're looking at getting some of the best youth players and thinking, can we get some of our own? And I think it's exciting to see that United finally seem to be putting in some work. So yeah, I'd rather someone be honest. They do not know the player. So many act like they know every obscure talent we're linked to. Yeah, I mean, the amount of people that you'll see that will pretend they've watched this guy is crazy. Like, I've not watched this guy. I just see we're linked to a player. I do a bit of research on the player. I also just use my knowledge of the fact that this is a young player that's very highly rated in a position that we very much need, and we've not really taken advantage of the South American market. And while I can't tell you how good this player is, according to the internet, he's a good player. According to my knowledge of the fact that Manchester United don't take advantage of the South American market enough, this is a good deal for us because we're taking advantage of the South American market. And hopefully we're looking at the next Baleba, and hopefully we're looking at the next Caicedo. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But you look at Alvaro, you look at Garnacho, they were players that we signed from Spain in the past, and how it worked out. So let's continue on. So there's another player that apparently we're also very close to signing, which again, I've not watched, because believe it or not, I don't watch the Senegalese youth side. But it was said that Manchester United are very close to signing Senegalese prodigy Mouhamed Dabo. The president of B Sports Academy is currently in England to finalise discussions with United over the transfer. Dabo has been on trial at Carrington for several weeks, and Barcelona are also keen and haven't given up. So, one thing we know about Christopher Vivell is he's going out to a lot of the African countries, particularly Senegal and, Gambia, where he's done a lot of work recently, and looking at some of the best young talents in Africa. Now, I'm going to tell you this now. Africa produce some really good footballers, and they don't get enough credit for it. Africa are producing some of the best talents. And, everyone speaks about the South American market, but I'm going to be honest. I think a lot of the next best ballers are going to come out of the African market. I mean, a lot of the best African players, I think they represent European countries. I think Benzema could have played for Algeria and stuff, but the African market produces so many good players. And I think that's something United need to look at, because you look at South American market and everyone's trying to get there, the Estevals, the Hendricks. I think the African market's going to produce, in my opinion, and I could be wrong, some better, maybe even better players in the South American market. I honestly think the level of football talent in Africa is crazy. I think it goes under the radar. So I really like that Christopher Vivell is really looking at the African market. And obviously, I think they've got loads of projects going on. I think in Senegal, they've got loads of projects going on. And there's a lot more investment going into African grassroots football in some countries, which is good to see. So obviously, you know that Vivell has been in and around scouting there. And obviously, Dabo has been looked at by Barcelona. Barcelona want to sign him. He's been on trial at Manchester United. There is talk that he's very close to joining Manchester United. Now, there's one or two scenarios. He's either using us to scare Barcelona into getting Barcelona to make the move for him, or he is very close, because another report came out this morning by Rich Fay to say that he's not close to joining Man United, but then reports are coming out from Africa saying that he is close to joining Manchester United, but he could be the second midfield addition for Manchester United, because there's now reports coming out that we're very close to signing Mouhamed Dabo. Again, I don't know lots about him, but one thing I know about Mouhamed Dabo is I've actually heard his name before. I had not heard of Christian Orozco before yesterday. I'm not going to lie to you. The player we signed. I didn't hear of Christian Orozco before yesterday, but I've heard the name Mouhamed Dabo a little bit over the last month or so, because he's been linked to Barcelona, because he's been watched by so many top clubs. He's seen as the next big thing to come out of Africa. So I do think it is exciting, and I do want to talk about this player. But this is the kind of signing we should potentially be looking at, and I agree with something Adam said here. Mouhamed Dabo and Christian Orozco are the kind of signings I want to see more of at Manchester United. Why? Because I know absolutely nothing about them, and that's the point. We don't need shiny new toys. It's the scouting network unearthing gems for the future of the club, and I agree. These are the signings I want to see Manchester United make more of. I don't know much about these players. I don't know anything about these players, to be honest. I've heard of one of them, but this is what the scouting network's meant to do. It's meant to unearth the next few gems. And look, a project like this will take years, 100%. It will take years. And we've got to make sure we improve the first team. We can sign all these great young players, but if we don't have a good first team and a stable first team environment to put them in, they're not going to develop to the best of their ability. We sign these players for the future. We go and sign some mint players in the summer for now, and get these young players to learn from those players, and then hopefully the club will be more sustainable. That's sort of the long-term answer we're looking at. But yeah, I think two of the best young players coming from South America and Africa to Manchester United to compete with Sekou Kone for the future of the midfield is exciting. It's Kone, Dabo, Orozco, again, like three unbelievably highly rated talents that obviously I'm going to assume have the right physical and technical ability needed, because that's something that we will be looking at in the academy, with maybe only one of them makes it, but one of them could be the next £100 player. I like that INEOS are signing a lot of these young players, and it's not many of them will make it, but they're just signing a lot of these young players. And look, we might make profit on them. Some of them might not make it. Some of them might be the next big thing for us. But as Alex said, most of European top leagues have quite a few African players these days. The quality coming out of Africa is insane, and there's a lot more investment going into football in Africa. And I honestly think it's the market to invest in more than South America right now. I strongly believe that the next generation of top footballers, I think a lot of them will come from Africa. Because we always talk about the South American talents, and that's great, and I'm glad we're looking at the South American market, but you've got to look everywhere. Europe, Africa, I mean, look, even Asia, I know that, like, it's not, football isn't as big in somewhere like China, but you've got to look everywhere. You've got to look absolutely everywhere. So I want to talk about Dabo, because obviously he's been linked to Barcelona, he's been highly rated, he's been linked to United for a while. I saw this report from Bowlball, he did this a few weeks ago, but he said on him, he is a centre mid / defensive midfielder. He's nearly 6 foot, but he's not 6 foot. But he could grow into being 6 foot because he's still growing. He's right-footed. He's valued at £1 to £2 million. He's good at tackling, switching play, decision making, tempo control, good on the ball, good work rate. He's been compared to Kamara and N'Golo Kante and Brozovic. I'm not going to act like I've watched this player, but this is what people are saying about the player, which is good to see. And two young Senegalese players in Mendy and Dabo are currently on trial at United, and that was reported 2 weeks ago. So United may decide to pursue one of them. Obviously, look, really good players have gone on trial on the past at United, and United not got them. Lucas Bergvall, who's would walk into our starting 11, was on trial at Man United, 4 years ago, and we didn't sign him. Obviously there's good players that go on trial at Man United and we don't sign them, like Lucas Bergvall. I think Martinelli had a trial at Manchester United and we didn't bring him in. But it's good to see, that United are giving trials to some of the good players out there as well. Big up. Were you with Robbie and Goldbridge a few days ago? Yeah, I was with them yesterday at a YouTube event. Chelsea have shown that hoarding players can work. They have made bang on almost all their signings. Yeah, I don't like quite the hoarding approach that Chelsea have, because I want to sign players to develop those players and give them what's best for their career. But I think that it has worked. You look at the amount of talent Chelsea have and the amount of money they've made, it does work in that sense. So, I mean, I don't like the let's hoard the players and think only about us strategy, but yeah, I like that. Senegal's produced quite a bit of talent. Senegal have some ballers. Obviously, Sadio Mane's the big one. But yeah, I think a lot of the top ballers right now are coming out of Africa. You even look at Cameroon; they've got Baleba and Bumo. We're signing all the top Cameroonians. But there's a really good young Senegalese midfielder that I'm quite a big fan of in Lamine Camara. I mean, he's coming out of Senegal. You've got Nicholas Jackson. I think Iliman Ndiaye is from Senegal as well. Like, if you're looking at some of the ballers, like Iliman Ndiaye is a baller. Nicholas Jackson, I think, is an underrated player. They've obviously got Lamine Camara, who's a baller. Koulibaly. I think the youth player that West Ham signs from Senegal. They've got some very good players out in Senegal. They've got Pape Sarr from Tottenham. The Senegalese football market is insane. I think they might be favourites for AFCON, maybe. When you look at Pape Sarr, when you look at Iliman Ndiaye, Idrissa Gueye, Lamine Camara, Mane, Jackson. I think Jackson is a better player than he gets credit for, Nicholas Jackson. I honestly do. So it's a good market. Yeah, there was a YouTube event yesterday, the Curator event, which was good fun. Um, but well, Barcelona will be fuming if we get these two players because Barcelona have been looking at these two players, particularly Dabo. Apparently, according to reports, Barcelona are big fans of Mouhamed Dabo and obviously are looking at signing him. But Man United might beat Barcelona to him. So yeah, there's talks of Barcelona keen, haven't given up on getting him yet, but reports of him being close to joining United. But there's conflicting reports. So we know confirmed from Ben Jacobs and The Athletic that we've agreed a deal to sign Christian Orozco. We know that is confirmed, that is agreed. So that deal was essentially done. There is reports coming out from African Footy that saying that we're very close to signing. Dabo, but that's not been confirmed officially yet by top sources. What fucking weird. But yeah, so that's interesting there. Anyway, imagine Camavinga and Baleba in January. I mean, if Camavinga can stay fit, if he can stay fit, he'd be the guy you want at Man United if he could stay fit. I want to talk about a few other bits and bobs in regards to Manchester United because what does this mean for the future? You know, I saw someone comment, "Oh, if we sign all these young midfielders, does that mean we're not going to get Baleba or not going to get Wharton?" We're still going to go for one of Baleba or Wharton or Elliot Anderson. Just because we're signing a load of 17-year-olds isn't going to stop us getting a first-team signing. Like some people saying, "Oh, they're signing 17-year-olds instead of the midfielders we should actually be signing." Like some people be negative. "Oh, they're signing 17-year-old midfielders. We need this player, we need that player." We're signing 17-year-old midfielders for the future. It's not going to stop us going and trying to put a bid for Baleba or Wharton in. Us signing 17-year-olds isn't instead of Wharton or instead of Baleba. It's an addition. But yeah, you know what some people are like. "Oh, you know, what's this mean?" So, look, United still want the number 6, and this has been reported heavily. Manchester United want to sign a number 6, with the key position expected to dominate the transfer market. Wharton, Baleba, and Anderson are among deep-lying playmakers likely to be in high demand next summer. I would like 2 of these 3 players. In a dream world, Baleba and Wharton. I would love Baleba and Wharton to come to Manchester United next year. Bish, bash, bosh. Give me Baleba, give me Wharton, give me Semenyo, maybe give me another defender for depth. Hope Lemens does well. Bish, bash, bosh. That is the window for me. We've done the attack in 1 year. We'll do the midfield this year. Next year we may look at the defence. We may look at wing backs. I think we don't really have wing backs, so we might look at a wing back. But I would love Baleba and Wharton. I'd love Elliot Anderson as well. I think they're all really good players. And United want a number 6. Liverpool want a number 6. Tottenham will want a number 6 next year. A lot of top clubs want a number 6. There is talk of Baleba now potentially going to Liverpool instead of Manchester United, and Liverpool to beat Manchester United to Baleba. There is a little bit of talk of that at the moment. Hopefully that doesn't happen. Hopefully that's not true. But there is going to be a race for Elliot Anderson, Baleba and Wharton. It's going to be a big race for Elliot Anderson, Baleba and Wharton from the big clubs next summer because United, Tottenham and Liverpool all at the 6. Arsenal don't really need one. They've got Subamena, they've got Rice, they've got Norgard, but they might. It's Arteta, he loves midfielders. City don't necessarily need one with Rodri, Nico Gonzalez, Reinders. But Chelsea have got Casado, but they might look at and Santos, so probably don't need one massively, but they probably will want another midfielder. I can see Chelsea going for Wharton, they're greedy. But United want to sort of lead the race for a number 6, and they're the 3 big number 6 we're looking at. So just because we're signing some of the best young midfielders, it's not going to change our plan for the first team. We still want to sign ready-made, good, proven midfielders to come in now because we want a good environment for those young midfielders to learn from. You can sign all the best 16, 17-year-olds in world football, but if the first team's crap, if the first team has a negative environment, this is not going to be good for these young players to develop in. We'll throw them in and we'll make their job hard. Lamine Kamara's got pace as well. He's dangerous. He looks like a player, doesn't he? This summer alone, we've signed some expensive PR-proven talent. So yes, signing youth is not hindering our spends. Exactly. I saw someone be negative about us signing a youngster, thinking it's going to stop us signing an actual player, and it's not. Elliot Anderson is a good player. I like him, but I think Mr. Marinakis will want 100 million, ridiculous money. Yeah, poor Leone. Poor Leone has done his ACL. He looked really good in his Liverpool debut, so that's gutting it. There's nothing. I don't think there's anything worse, even as a Man United fan, and I know he plays for Liverpool. But I don't think there's anything worse than seeing an 18-year-old make his debut and then do their ACL and has a really good debut. It doesn't matter if they play for Liverpool, doesn't matter if they play for Manchester United. Like, I think it's absolutely gutting to see Leone do so well in his debut and do his ACL. Because no 18-year-old deserves, no footballer deserves to do their ACL, no 18-year-old on their debut as well. It's a big injury. So, yeah, really sad what's happened with Leone there. I'd take Eva. I'd really like Wharton, as we desperately need to see him that can dictate play. If we sack Amorim, I'm more towards Wharton. The only reason I prefer Baleba to Wharton is because Amorim's system requires midfielders to do a ridiculous amount of running that no other system demands, and Baleba can do that better than Wharton. Like, Wharton's a bit slower, he can't cover as much ground as Baleba, but Wharton's so good on the ball. But we've got Maynard that's good on the ball, and it's not quite working under Amorim because of the off-the-ball stuff. So I love Wharton. I think Wharton is so naturally gifted, but I think for Amorim's system, I do swing more towards Baleba or Camavinga, because Amorim wants his midfielders to do Moises Caicedo level running, which is only what very few midfielders can do. But look, both Baleba and Wharton, absolutely dreaming. Elliot Anderson has the play for England hype. I like Elliot Anderson. I liked him before he played for England, but he will get a little bit that English. You've got Brighton tax with Baleba, and you've got English tax with Wharton and Elliot Anderson. If you play for England, you get a bit of tax on your price. If he plays at the World Cup, he's going to get taxed at the price. If one of Wharton or Elliot Anderson plays at the World Cup and they have a good World Cup, their price is going to be going up. And Baleba just has Brighton tax. So that is the one thing we've got to look at. Even if Amorim stays, I hope he tweaks the midfield. The current midfield setup's not sustainable. I agree. His formation can work. But Glasner, people say, Glasner plays the same formation as Amorim and it works. It's not Amorim's formation. It's not Amorim's formation, but it's the way he uses his formation. Because Glasner uses his midfield very differently to Ruben Amorim, and Glasner's gone on 18 games unbeaten. It's more sustainable. Talking of midfield, it was said that United and Barca are expected to accelerate talks in the coming weeks over a potential transfer of Kobbie Mainoo. They're keen to sign him as cover for the injured Gavi. So there has been a few Mainoo rumours going about. Barcelona want him, Real Madrid want him. Look, Mainoo hopefully should get some game time. If he's not getting a lot of game time come January, there could be truth to the rumours. It sucks that we're not in the Europa League or Carabao Cup for Mainoo to really get that game time. He should have played more because he was very good versus City. Look, media needs something to talk about. Mainoo's not playing minutes at the moment. There's going to be a lot of reports. Until Mainoo's playing 90 minutes week in, week out, there's going to be a lot of reports about Mainoo leaving. A lot of it's going to be guesswork. A lot of it's going to be speculation. A lot of it's going to be waffle until January. Like that is the fact. We need something to talk about. There's nothing to talk about in regards to Man United. Make up a story that Barcelona are in for Mainoo, because they might be in for Mainoo, because he's a Barcelona player, Kobbie Mainoo, don't get me wrong, but I do think the media needs something to write about. Mainoo's not playing, and as long as Mainoo's not playing, they're going to write reports that Mainoo's going to leave. If Amorim keeps losing, they're going to write reports about new managers. If we go win our next 3 games in a row, they can't write reports on Unai Emery or this manager or that manager. If we go lose to Brentford, next week we're going to have reports that we're looking at Unai Emery, that we're looking at Iriola, and a lot of those reports won't be true. But it's just, the media needs something to write about. Mainoo's not playing, let's write that Mainoo's leaving. Amorim loses, let's write that we're looking at new managers. It's sort of the way that the media works. So I feel like with this Mainoo-Barcelona stuff, Barcelona might be looking at Mainoo, but we don't know that for sure. We don't let's see where we are in January. There's nothing in this until you get to January. And then you're like, oh, okay, the January window's open, Mainoo's not played much, he might go. Then it becomes a bit more credible, I think, to be honest. Anyway, big up to everybody watching today's show. We are going to go over and give Never a Foul a raid in a bit. Show Cass some love on Never a Foul. But we were just talking about United and the youngsters. So we signed one youngster. We might be signing another youngster, 2 young midfielders, a bit like Saku Kone last year. 2 young players that hopefully can, in years to come, be the guys that we need at Manchester United and be successful at Manchester United in years to come. It would be great to see. But look, I'm glad that we're signing young players. I think it's the right approach, signing young players. But look, at the end of the day, I do want Ruben Amorim to change the way he uses the midfield. I do think that Mainoo is a Barcelona profile player, and they may go for him. They may go for him. But let's hope that we smash Brentford. Let's hope that we have a good win versus Brentford. There's a lot of positivity. Signing young players is positive. Let's hope we get a win versus Brentford. That's positive. And let's just hope that, we can get some positive vibes at United from now on. But yes, guys, go give Cass from Never a Foul a raid. Thank you for watching. Bye.